It's been a minute, but we are back here with the San Francisco Giants franchise here on MLB The Show 24. I apologize that it's been a little bit over a week since the last episode. I did mention last time around that I really want to take some time to focus on EA College Football 25, and I still plan on doing that for a little while, but I've been itching to get back into baseball a little bit, especially with our Giants in the mix for a potential run to the playoffs. We have a massive 3-game set upcoming against San Diego, and we need to perform well here because we haven't been all that good since the All-Star break. We lost 4 of 7 against the Dodgers and really have been mediocre since the start of the break, and that includes post-trade deadline going into August, in which we have lost 5 of our last 8 games, including getting swept by the Philadelphia Phillies at home. And the Phillies are obviously a team who is very much alive in the playoffs. I really wanted to perform well against them, and we certainly did not. We still lead the division. We still have one of the best records in baseball, but we've got to pick it up. So, of course, the last episode was the trade deadline. The pitching rotation was untouched. It's been the best in baseball. I didn't see the need to make a move, but we did add to the bullpen, and we did add to the lineup. We acquired Michael Kopech from the White Sox. He's going to be our long reliever. I think there's some long-term upside there, and he's had a pretty good season. We also got James Karinchak from Cleveland. He throws hard. He's good with runners on base. Both of these guys are on the last years of their contracts, so they didn't cost a whole lot for us to get. Now, I will say, both of them have not been very good since the trade. They've already been infected by whatever curse we have in our bullpen, so hopefully they pick it up. Offensively, it's been the Jung-Hoo Lee show. He has been terrific this year. His WAR currently sits at 6.2. The only players in baseball with a higher WAR are Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. When those are the only 2 guys better than you, you've got to be doing something right. Jung-Hoo Lee has been absolutely terrific, but we lack star power outside of him. We have plenty of good players on this team, but outside of Lee, there really isn't anybody who I trust in a big situation to where I know they're going to make a play. I wanted to add somebody, though, to the lineup who plays good defense, is reasonably fast, hits lefties, and is clutch. Stone Garrett from the Nationals provides all of that. He's got 2.5 more years of team control, and you know what you're going to get from him. He's really consistent year in, year out. I think he's the perfect number 2 hitter behind Jung-Hoo Lee because he can hit for contact, he can hit for power, he's got good discipline, and again, I wanted somebody who plays strong defense. We also got Zach DeZesno from the Astros in exchange for Cedric Mullins. There was no need for Mullins with the addition of Garrett, and I think DeZenzo, along with the other prospects we got in that deal, could end up being pretty solid for us. With the National League being an arms race right now, pretty much every NL contender went out and made a notable move. The Phillies got Garrett Crochet, the Cubs got Brady Sr. and Jeff Hoffman. The Reds got Tyler Glasnow. The Padres got Jazz Chisholm. Of course, the Dodgers made the deal of the deadline, acquiring Mike Trout, who requested a trade from the Angels in a 3-team deal, with Tyler Glasnow going to Cincinnati and the Angels getting a package of 4 prospects led by Miguel Vargas from LA and Rhett Lauder from Cincinnati. The Tigers were busy with Abner Uribe, Brent Rooker, and David Fry. The Rays went out and got Christian Yelich. The Yankees got Zach Geloff. With pretty much everybody in the AL East buying, the Red Sox acquired Bo Bichette. That's along with the Astros adding Cedric Mullins, with a couple smaller moves there as well. Jack Sawinski going to Minnesota is another interesting one. It's going to be a really competitive final 2 months of the regular season, especially in the NL, with the amount of good teams at the top and pretty much everybody making a big move. Atlanta was the only team who stood pat. They currently sit in first place in the NL. They're 10 games ahead of the Phillies in the National League East, and they're a few games ahead of us and Chicago for the number 1 seed overall. The Cubs have built a comfortable lead in the Central despite losing 4 in a row. The competitive division here is going to be the West. Right now, we're 3 games ahead of the Padres with a 3-game set in San Diego coming. So theoretically, if the Padres sweep us, it'll be tied. The Dodgers are right there as well within 3.5 games, and Arizona is obviously no slouch as well. They're currently 10.5 back. The National League West is the most competitive division in baseball, and it is going to be a battle if we want to win this division. The wild card race is super competitive as well, with some good teams like the Reds, Cardinals, and D-backs currently out of the playoffs. The American League, like last year, is quite a bit worse. The AL East is super competitive. Despite Toronto not making a move at the deadline, they're still in first place. Minnesota leads the Central convincingly. I could see the Tigers making noise, though. I like that they went out and were aggressive at the deadline. I don't think they'll catch up to Minnesota, but I do think they could be a wild card. The Rangers currently lead the West, and again, the wild card race is super competitive with a lot of teams in the mix. It's just that the depth and the top is certainly not at the level of the National League. In the last episode, we also went through our draft class, and I think we made out pretty well. Our first rounder was Johnny Hackman, a guy who we know kind of has limited upside, but he's going to be able to compete to start right away for us next year in spring training. Luis Velasquez and Francesco Gutierrez are both a little bit more raw than I hoped, but I like their upside. And then Chip Gilmore, Quinn Monk, both high ceiling guys, and I thought our last picks were pretty good too. Overall, I don't think this draft class was spectacular. Certainly nowhere near as good as last year's. Like Mackenzie Torres, for instance, in the first round. He was a guy I really liked, but he ended up not looking too hot. 73 potential, 58 overall. Some teams that did well included the White Sox. They made out really good. The Tigers, I like their selection of Keo Burton. He was a guy we wanted. Speaking of pitchers who I really wanted, Tim Cullen was my top target in the second round, but he went in the first to Minnesota. And then Christian Byers, I didn't think he was going to go as early as he did. I was hoping we'd be able to land him, and we missed out. Now, this draft did end up with two generational prospects, the first of which, Emil Franco, the first baseman going to the Angels, and I was a little bit surprised by this one. Our scouts were not overly high on him, but clearly they were wrong. The other of which is Aaron Eldridge, the shortstop with the Marlins. I think Eldridge is the more intriguing player than Franco because he's a switch hitter. He's better defensively. He's faster. It's kind of similar last year with Jeremy Franco on the White Sox and then Tommy Rogers with us. The Phillies added two pretty pro-ready players. Joe Murdoch is a guy who I think could start for them next year with big-time power upside. The Nationals had a solid draft. Brendan Wood was the guy we were looking at. He really is not good defensively, though. Isley Chu with the Cubs, another guy who could compete to start right away on a National League contender. Steve Rodriguez was a guy I liked with the Reds. His ratings ended up being lower than I expected. The Rockies, obviously, with the shock at the draft, picking Lincoln Ragsdale second overall, didn't make sense to me at the time, and in hindsight, not a good decision, considering they really did not use the rest of their bonus money super wisely. We've gone through 3 drafts in this series, and I don't think they've drafted a position player once. I think they only draft pitchers. But everybody else in our division did pretty well, per usual. Dodgers had a nice draft. The Padres had a good first pick with David Aguirre. Outside of Colorado, everybody in our division has drafted really well in this series. And even the Rockies, they haven't drafted that bad. It's just they're only drafting pitchers for the most part. So let's finally dive into this 3-game set against San Diego, our most important regular season series of the year up to this point. It's on the road. We've been playing against some really good teams lately, and we haven't performed all that well. And this series very well could have major implications in terms of the division race. San Diego, of course, had a pretty busy deadline, sending the Marlins some prospects in exchange for Jazz Chisholm. This move is very consistent with the rest of the way they've built their roster, because Jazz Chisholm is another shortstop who won't be playing shortstop. They have 8 position players on their roster who started off as shortstops. Jazz, Machado, Tatis, Bogarts, Adames, Cronenworth, Edman, Merrill. All of these guys started as shortstops, yet none of them are. And of course, Ha-Seong Kim, who did not come in as a shortstop originally, is the guy starting there. That will never not be hilarious to me. I think I'm going to play this second game. 2 of these teams' best pitchers, with Joe Musgrove facing off against Logan Webb. So we'll simulate through the first game, and we did not do too hot. We lost 5-0. No show from the offense. Jung-Hoo Lee at times feels like, you know the meme with the fancy car in front of the unfancy house? That's Jung-Hoo Lee with the rest of this offense at times. Robbie Ray struggled, allowing 11 hits in just over 3 innings. I get the bullpen credit, though. They did not allow a run after Robbie Ray was taken out, but unfortunately it was not enough. And now it's only a 2-game deficit, the closest this division has been in quite a while. We've got to come back and win this game, or at the very least win one of these next 2, so we can hold on to our division lead. So let's get this show on the road here at Petco Park. Massive couple of games coming up here. We've got to win at the bare minimum one of these next 2, because if the Padres win both, the division will be tied. We've had control of the division lead for most of the summer, but both the Padres and the Dodgers are catching up to where we're only 2 games ahead of San Diego and 3 games ahead of the Dodgers. Now, both teams today will be resting some of their key players. Jung-Hoo Lee, getting the day off, not in the lineup for San Francisco. For the Padres, their 3 best players are not in. No Machado, no Tatis, no Jazz Chisholm. Arguably the 4 best position players on these 2 teams are not playing, which should be fascinating. So we could be looking at a pitching duel with 2 really good arms on the mound. It's Joe Musgrove, the veteran righty here for San Diego. He'll start things off with Jonathan India batting in the 1 spot today. And he sends this one into the right center field gap, looking for extra bases. And India is into second with a leadoff double. Jonathan India, for the 2nd year in a row, has been the unsung hero of this team. And with him being a free agent next year, he's going to be making quite a bit of money. Here's Stone Garrett. Rips this one into the gap. That one will one-hop off the top of the wall. It's an RBI double. India scores with no problem. And the Giants are on the board early. They lead 1-0. Setting the tone early after getting shut out in the first game is exactly what this team needed to do. 2 away. Crawford grounds it to third. Play is made. And the lead stays at 1. But a good start here with the RBI double by Stone Garrett. Let's take a look at Logan Webb, who of course did not make the All-Star team. And since the All-Star break, even though the rest of the squad has been mediocre, he's been fantastic. I feel like he's taken not making the All-Star team really personally. Here's Ha-Seong Kim leading things off into the left center gap. Soler will not make the play. This one rolls to the wall. It looks like it'll be a leadoff double. Soler obviously doesn't play in the outfield a ton, but with Jung-Hoo Lee getting the day off, he is starting in left, and he was pretty slow to get to that ball. Tommy Edman acquired in a trade earlier this year with the Angels. Singles into right. Runner holds up. Does not want to test the arm of Stone Garrett. That's why we got him. We know he has a strong arm. We know he's a good fielder. And the runner ultimately holds. Bogaerts draws a walk, and the bases are loaded. The first 3 guys are aboard. And Luis Campusano sends it into the gap. He's going to look to drive them all in. 1 scores. 2 scores. San Diego takes the lead. The 3rd run is safe. A bases clearing double for Luis Campusano, and the Padres lead it 3-1. I guess San Diego does not have the poor voodoo magic of leaving the bases loaded like we do. Tyler O'Neill chases the slider. Logan Webb needed that one badly. We'll see if he can get out of the inning against his former teammate Lamont Wade. Grounded to third, off the bounce. Murakami, throw to first, is in time. And that'll wrap up a busy first inning. San Francisco gets 1, but the Padres respond with 3 as we move into the second. Better inning here for Joe Musgrove. He retires the side with a Kyler Rodriguez ground out. Rodriguez getting the start playing at first base today. Obviously, he's been pretty disappointing this year, but I want to get him more at bats, get him in more of the flow, because we know he's a really talented player. He's performed at every level since we've drafted him. Ha-Seong Kim up here in the bottom of the second with 2 away. Logan Webb, likewise, looking for a better inning. And he as well will retire the side as Kim pops it into right. It's caught by Stone Garrett. And the lead stays at 3-1. No base runners for either team in the second as both pitchers look to be getting settled in. And that'll bring us into the third. The 18-year-old phenom, Tommy Rogers, leads things off with a base hit up the middle. I feel like Tommy Rogers, very quietly, has been really good. The OPS in the mid-800s. Slugging is above 500. Sure, he's not drawing a lot of walks, but otherwise, he's checking off all the other boxes. Unfortunately, we won't keep him on base as Stone Garrett grounds into an inning-ending double play. Good work there by the San Diego infield to turn 2, especially with the speed that both of those guys, especially Rogers, hold. And we go into the bottom of the third. Tommy Edman, speaking of speedsters getting on base early, sends this one into left field. That ball was not hit very hard, 72 off the bat, but because of that, it rolls to Soler slowly, and it ends up being a leadoff double. That'll bring up Bogaerts, walked in his last at bat, won't get another one here as he goes down looking on the full count sinker. Adama is now up for San Diego, the 1-2, and he chases the outside slider. Logan Webb's swing and miss stuff has been pretty impressive today. Ultimately, he finishes the inning with 3 punch-outs as Luis Campusano, who had the big 3-run double previously, goes down looking. It remains 3-1 as we move into the fourth. We'll see if either offense can look to pick things up where they were in the first. Soler up the middle, 1-out single. So the Giants get themselves a base runner. We'll see if they can do any damage. Look to cut the lead from 2. As that brings up J.P. Crawford. That pitch gets by him. It's a wild pitch from Musgrove. Soler safe at second. And now there's a runner in scoring position. Just how J.P. Crawford likes it. He's been a little inconsistent with runners in scoring position this year, but we know with guys on second, he is money! Launches it into straightaway center. Places the bat down. That one is long gone, and this game is tied at 3. Over 450 feet for Crawford, 452 to be exact, as it goes nearly 108 off the bat for his 17th home run of the season. That ball went a mile a minute, absolutely launched it, and we're tied. A big play there from Crawford to re-energize San Francisco, as that brings up Blake Sabol, draws a walk. Sabol has been really, honestly, not that good since May. The average is down to 230. He started the year on fire, but he's got to pick it up. Kyler Rodriguez goes down on the curveball. That'll wrap up the 4th. Overall, pretty good inning with the 2-run shot for J.P. Crawford to tie this game as we go bottom 4. Logan Webb has only allowed 1 base runner since the 1st. Looking to keep it going as he gets the early strikeout. Will Brennan with 2 away pops it up. Looks like Blake Sabol is going to be under it, and he will make the play for another 1-2-3 inning for Logan Webb through 4. We are knotted up at 3. Let's move into the 5th. We'll see if either team can break the scoreless tie. Stone Garrett is up with 2 away, and he grounds this one over to second. Play is made. Throw to first is in time. 1-2-3 inning for Musgrove, and the Giants don't do any damage there. As we go into the bottom of the 5th, San Diego's offense looking to wake up. Started hot, have not gotten anything since. The only base hit since the 1st was from Tommy Edman here, but he grounds out to second. Jonathan India makes the play. Another inning with no base runners for either side. Got to give Logan Webb credit. Really started the day off poorly, but he has bounced back quickly. Munetaka Murakami strikes out on the fastball. Good pitch there by Musgrove, who also has pitched overall a pretty good game for the most part. Here is pitch number 99 on the way to J.P. Crawford, who homered back in the 4th. Flies it into center. It's got a little carry, but ultimately it will be caught by Jackson Merrill. 6 innings, a 3-run ball for Musgrove. Got to imagine his day is done. As we go to the bottom of the 6th, Logan Webb led up 4 of his first 5 base runners, but since then he's only allowed 1. We'll see if the San Diego offense can bounce back. That's one way to do it. Up the middle, base hit for Xander Bogaerts, their first base runner since the 3rd. And they lead off the inning with a runner aboard in the middle of the lineup due up. Nice chance for the Padres to look to regain the lead. 2 away, O'Neill singles into center. Do you pull Logan Webb? Do you keep him? Tough decision here. I think no matter what, this will be his last batter. But we trust him. We recognize he's one of the best pitchers in the game. We feel like he's the guy who can get us out of the inning as Wade hits it sharply to third. Murakami, throw to first is in time, and that'll wrap up the 6th. We're still tied at 3 as Logan Webb does get through it. Lamont Wade, by the way, one hell of a head of hair. I did not know he had it flowing like that. Let's go to the 7th here. I imagine it'll be a bullpen game the rest of the way for both sides. The righty Ryan Thompson is in for San Diego. 5.32 ERA for him so far on this season. We'll see if the Giants offense can look to break through now that the San Diego bullpen is in. As Heliot Ramos leads things off, he goes down on the slider. Ramos is another guy who started the year off really well, but has been a little bit shaky since the month of May. Blake Sabol, 2-2 down the line and fair into the opposite field. That one could go for extra bases. He's rounding first, heads to second. The throw is going to be close, but it's a little bit offline and not in time. A one-out double for Blake Sabol, his 15th of the year. Giants get a runner in scoring position. He advances to third now. 2 away for the rookie, Tommy Rogers, who has excelled at driving runners in this year, and he will look to do so again. A blooped 66-mile-an-hour single. But hey, a base hit's a base hit. His 2nd of the game, drives in the run, and the Giants lead it 4-3. Jonathan India doubled and scored back in the 1st. Rogers heads for 2nd. Throw is not in time. I think San Diego relayed that one pretty well, but sometimes there's just not much you can do when you're going up against the fastest man in baseball. Rogers goes over 20 miles an hour there, and from there, with the runner at second base and no more force out, the Padres will intentionally walk Jonathan India. I'm a little bit surprised by it. I honestly can't really say I understand it, but that's what they're going to do. 2 on, 2 away. for Stone Garrett. Rips it into the gap. Rogers will score with no problem, and India might as well. It's 5-3. India rounds third. Heads home. It's 6-3. Two-run double for Stone Garrett. He's driven in 3 runs today. The decision to intentionally walk Jonathan India was a questionable one at the time, and it has not paid off. Thompson's going to be yanked. He'll be replaced by Zach Little, who has not had a good season this year. 6.23 ERA in 91 innings. As Murakami hits this one well into center near the track and the wall. It is caught, but not before the Giants get 3 with an RBI single for Rogers and a 2-run double for Stone Garrett. The Giants lead it by 3 going into the bottom of the 7th as the former Padre Enyel de los Santos comes into the game. We'll see if San Francisco can hold on to their lead. Their bullpen's had some issues with that at times this year, but De Los Santos still kind of looking for revenge against his former squad. Will Brennan sends this one down the line to start the inning. It rolls to the corner, and it'll be a leadoff double. Quick start for the Padres after only getting 3 hits ever since the first inning off of Webb. They get an early double here. They got to catch up with getting some runners in scoring position, but it doesn't look like they'll score him. With 2 away, Edman pops it up. J.P. Crawford is under. He makes the play. And San Francisco gets out of the inning. It remains 6-3, and that'll bring us into the 8th. We'll see if the Giants can look to add to their lead. Jorge Soler gets things started in the 8th. Up the middle. That one goes for a base hit, his 2nd of the game. The Giants are coming off a 3-run 7th. They're looking to stack some more base runners and add a little bit of insurance. Heliot Ramos grounds it over to 3rd. This should be 2, and it will. Zach Little gets out of the inning unscathed, and the deficit stays at 3 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. A.J. Minter is in for the Giants. Much of the questions with this team surround who are the guys you trust at the end of the game. Obviously, Duvall is the closer for the 9th, but who do you want in during the 7th and 8th innings? These are going to be questions that we have to figure out over the next couple of months leading into the playoffs as Minter strikes out Bogarts and Adames to start the inning. We'll see if he can strike out the side as he faces off against the catcher, Luis Campusano. Count is even here at 2-2, and this ball is put on the ground over to 3rd. Munetaka Murakami fields it cleanly. Throw to 1st is in time. A.J. Minter retires the side, and the Giants are looking good as they try to snap their 4-game losing streak going into the top of the 9th inning. Zach Little will interestingly stay in the game here for San Diego. He faces off against Rogers 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. Swings and misses at the high inside fastball. And that'll bring us into the bottom of the 9th where it is closing time. Camilo Duvall looks to shut the door. He has been incredible this year, 32 of 35 in save ops with an ERA at 1.15. He's been arguably the best relief pitcher in baseball this season as the Padres are down to their last out and their last strike. The 1-2 for Will Brennan. This one is hit high and deep and a right. Garrett at the track, at the wall, it's caught. And that'll do it as the Giants snap their 4-game losing streak. They win this one 6-3. So no matter what happens in the last game, the Giants will still hold on to first place of the National League West through this series. Overall, a pretty good win. Things started off slowly as the Padres got 3 early runs in the bottom of the 1st, but the pitching was brilliant after that. 5 consecutive scoreless innings from Logan Webb. And then the bullpen led up just 1 base runner, retiring the final 9 hitters to ultimately shut the door. Wasn't necessarily a wild day for the offense. 6 runs, 9 hits, 2 walks, but I thought the situational hitting was good. When we had guys in scoring position, we were usually able to drive them in. The Padres had the big first inning, but did nothing after that. Their offense let them down. I thought Joe Musgrove was pretty solid, but that 7th inning from Ryan Thompson really blew the game away from them and ultimately is one of the big reasons why they ended up losing. So a good win there. If we can win this series, I think that'd be a pretty big deal. And after our tough stretch, it gets a lot easier. We don't play any team above 500 for the rest of the month. We're going to simulate to this series in Baltimore against the Orioles, so we've got the San Diego game. We ended up losing that one, unfortunately, but we would take 2 of 3 at home against Colorado. So we ended up going 2-2 to start, and that brings us here into a 3-game set in Queens against the Mets. In this first game, we're taking care of business. We're up 8-2. Stone Garrett is a triple shy of the cycle. He has really gotten himself at home. here in San Francisco. He won't get the cycle, but he does get his 4th hit of the game with a single into right. The Giants, unfortunately, did not drive him in, but they still won pretty comfortably 8-3 despite a late double for Brandon Nimmo. Really good performance here to start things off on the road against a competitive Mets team. They have fallen well out of the playoff picture at this point. They're around 20 games under 500, and with how competitive the National League is, they're not going to make it. But I still think they're a talented team, not someone we want to take lightly. Stone Garrett was brilliant, 4 hits, drove in 3, scored twice. Soler and Sabol each went deep as well, and the pitching was pretty good as well. Logan Webb, 8 innings, allowing 3 runs. Got a little bit away from him at the end, but another really strong start, whereas Kodai Senga did not have a very good game for the Mets as he ultimately takes the loss. Speaking of cycle watch, going into Game 2, Kyler Rodriguez is in the same boat. 3 for 3. He's a triple shy of the cycle, and would you look at that, the bases are loaded in a 2-run game as Rodriguez gets a piece of this one, a swing and a drive and a right. At the track, at the wall, it is caught. Just barely, did not have enough distance on it, but luckily that's more than enough room to score the runoff at the sacrifice. Still a pretty successful at bat at 6-3, and that would ultimately end up being the final. So the Giants take the first 2 here in New York. The offense once again played pretty well. Kyler Rodriguez leading the way. He goes 3 for 3, scored twice while he drove in 4. So Rodriguez was responsible for pretty much every run in this game in one way or another. Aaron Savale gets the win, his 12th of the season, and it was the back end of the lineup who really made plays for us. Let the kids play. Kyler Rodriguez and Tommy Rogers had over half of our hits, while Savale went 7 strong in the win. This time David Peterson gets the loss in what was once again an underwhelming game for the Mets offense. Carson Whisenhunt has been on the 60-day IL for the last, 60 days. He'll be taken off. That's a big win for us. And we get a big win sweeping the Mets. So even with our inconsistencies early in the month, we've figured some things out. We've won 5 games in a row. We're now 78-50. But we have not made up any ground. We've won 5 in a row, but the Padres have won 7 in a row. They're only 1 back. The Cubs are falling a little bit, but the Braves are surging. They comfortably have the best record in the NL, whereas we're tied with the Cubs. The Padres are only a game back, but their schedule's a lot harder than ours. They have beat up on some not-so-good teams in this win streak. Boston and Washington on the road are no slouches, but they're not great. And going into September, they only have 5 games the rest of the year against teams under 500. Pretty much everybody else is in the playoffs. They've got us, they've got the Dodgers, they've got the Cubs, I'm pretty sure twice. Arizona's in there. They've got some tough matchups, whereas our schedule is a lot easier. Now, we still have some good teams here. The Phillies, Cubs, obviously the Padres in September, but certainly not to the level that their schedule is. The rest of August, they're playing against teams over 500, whereas the rest of this month for us is against teams under 500. Starting with this series in Baltimore, we're going to play the first of 3 here at Camden Yards. So even though we're only up 1 against the Padres in the division, and we have lost ground so far in this episode, but I still like our standing given how hard the Padres schedule is in comparison to ours. Kyle Bradish will be getting the start here for Baltimore. 2 really good arms on the mound today. It'll be Kyle Harrison for San Francisco. Bradish has had a really good season. 3.1 ERA, 1.15 whip. He'll start things off with Stone Garrett, who of course started his career not too far south of here in Washington, D.C. He singles into center field, a 1-out base knock for Garrett, continuing to produce as that brings up Munetaka Murakami. Rips this one into left field. It will roll to the wall. Garrett gets the stop sign at third, but he's going to head home. The throw to the plate is not in time. Garrett does not listen to the coach, and it pays off. Sometimes in baseball, you've got to have a pair of cojones. Garrett shows it off there as that brings up Jorge Soler. This one is high and deep into right at the track. It is caught. Munetaka Murakami makes it over to third, though, so the Giants have him 90 feet away from home, but they're going to need a base hit if they want to drive him in. Now, luckily for us, it's the shortstop, J.P. Crawford. This one will be sent into the right center field gap. It goes for a single. Murakami scores, and the Giants add to their lead. It's now 2-0, but they're still looking for more. Jonathan India hitting up to 289 on the season. He has been on a tear as of recent with another hit. Singles into right. 4 hits so far here in this first inning for San Francisco. Blake Sabol, 99 clutch. Swing and a miss. He got fooled by the low slider. What a pitch there by Bradish, but still a good inning for the Giants as they score 2. And we take a look at the first-time All-Star Kyle Harrison. He's been one of the best lefties in baseball this year. 2.76 ERA, 1.13 whip. Every number of his is really impressive, and he has absolutely taken the leap into stardom as Jordan Westburg starts this game off swinging and missing at the fastball. Lefty on lefty crime. It's Jackson Holliday, former #1 overall pick out of Stillwater High School in Oklahoma, as he goes down on the slider. Let's move into the second inning now. Speaking of highly regarded draft prospects, it's Tommy Rogers going down looking. It's nice seeing him not being overly aggressive for once, but unfortunately called strike 3. 2 away here for Jung-Hoo Lee. This one is hit well into center. It's got a little bit of carry, and it will be caught. Lee has been cold through the month of August. His average has gone all the way down into the low 340s. I know, how low. Bottom 2, Heston Kjerstad grounds it to third. Liover Peguero getting the start at the hot corner today. He makes the play. 3 out, 3 down once again for Kyle Harrison. Perfect through 2, and that'll bring us into the third. The Giants offense looking to get back into business after a big start to this game, as Jorge Soler looks at a slider right down the middle. I don't know what he was waiting for. That was the perfect pitch, but it's called strike 3. Bottom 3, Colton Cowser goes down in the fastball. Another lefty on lefty crime. That brings up Michael Reed. This guy is big. The Orioles got a lot of big dudes as he looks at the fastball going right down the middle. Why aren't these guys swinging the bat? This goes for both teams, looking at some really good pitches. Yet Kobe Mayo, who's also a giant, swings at a pitch way above the strike zone, and Harrison now is 9 up, 9 down. Perfect through 3, and we move into the fourth. J.P. Crawford looks to get his off-going straw, and this one is hit well into left. One hops off the new wall, which was, of course, built a few years ago, and that one is going to be a leadoff double. So the Giants start the inning with an early base runner as they look to do some more damage, and that brings up the red-hot Jonathan India, and he draws a walk. Another base runner here for San Francisco, 2 on, nobody out. Nice opportunity here for Blake Sabol, looking to redeem himself after the bad strikeout earlier. As Sabol launches this one into right. At the track, at the wall, it goes off the wall. Both of the base runners expected him to make the catch, so because of that, they had really slow leads, and Crawford is out at home. Still a productive at bat with the double, but Heston Kjerstad not being able to make that play is the reason why J.P. Crawford was out there. Nonetheless, the Giants should have had a little bit more of a lead. Even if he did catch it, he wasn't very close to throw either runner out. Ultimately, the 2 guys in scoring position will score, though. It's an RBI double for Liover Peguero. And San Francisco doubles their lead. It's 4-0. Big hit there from Peguero, who's also cooled off over the last couple of months, but it's good to see him making a play. Bottom 4, 2 away. Adley Rutschman, the all-star catcher out of Oregon State, singles into center. First base runner of the entire game for Baltimore in what has been an offensive struggle so far for the Orioles. That'll bring up Gunnar Henderson. The star shortstop has had a tremendous season, one of the best players in the AL, and he strikes out on the slider. Another K for Kyle. He's through 4 scoreless. Giants up 4-0. Let's move into the 5th inning now. San Francisco's offense has been highly productive so far off of Bradish with 4 runs, 7 hits, as Stone Garrett draws a walk. Really tough pitch to lay off, but at 3-1, he chooses to be patient, and it pays off. And that'll be it for Bradish. He'll be replaced by the lefty Cole Irvin. He's been brilliant this year as their long reliever with an ERA at 2.18. I mean, legitimately fantastic stuff out of the bullpen, as he'll face off against fellow lefty Munetaka Murakami, looking to do some early damage. And he also draws a walk, looking at the high fastball. So the first 2 batters are walked, and the Giants now have a golden opportunity to really turn this into a large, sizable lead, and they are not going to do it because this team does not like making things easy. J.P. Crawford grounds into a 3-6-1 double play. Normally the guy you want up in that situation. That'll bring us into the bottom of the 5th. Heston Kjerstad, 2-2 for the former Razorback, and he goes down on the inside fastball. Nice pitch for Harrison. Now against Colton Cowser. He's behind 1-2. Chases the slider. What a pitch by Kyle Harrison, who has been yet again incredible in this game. And we move into the 6th. Save ball up the middle, base hit, little lefty on lefty crime. Thought about bringing in Patrick Bailey there. Bailey's average is actually higher than Sable's. Now, Sable does hit for significantly more power. The OPS is still up by like 100, but Bailey's been hitting it better. Not going to really matter, though, the hit from Sable because the Giants ground into a double play. And so it remains 4-0 as we go bottom 6. Michael Reed leads things off for the O's, and this one is grounded past the diving glove of Liover Peguero. It'll roll to the corner in left field, and all of a sudden, for the first time today, the Orioles might be in business. A leadoff double. Will this be where Baltimore can finally put themselves on the board? Reed with his 4th of the year. That sends up Kobe Mayo, the third baseman. He's ahead 3-1. Looks at the high fastball for ball 4. He would retire the next 2, setting up a pivotal at bat for Rutschman, the 3-2. Line to second, off of India's glove. He cannot make the play, and Reed will score. It'll be ruled as a base hit for Adley Rutschman, and the Baltimore Orioles are on the board. It's now 4-1. That was not an easy play for India, but it's one I feel like he could have made. Gunnar Henderson gets that one over the glove of India, into the gap. Run scores, it's Mayo. Henderson slides into second safely. We've got ourselves a ball game, folks. It's 4-2 with the tying run in scoring position. Kyle Harrison led up just one base runner through 5, but this 6th inning has been kind of a disaster. I wanted to keep him in there against Gunnar. I trusted him to get out of the inning, and unfortunately, he's unable to make the play. It was a really good start for the most part for Harrison, but it got away from him late, and we're going to go to the bullpen. James Karinchak has a really high pitching clutch rating, so we're going to bring him in here. 2.87 ERA. He hasn't pitched a ton with us since we traded for him, but again, as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, he hasn't been very good. His ERA has basically doubled. But he does strike out Christian Walker and gets out of the inning. The Orioles scored 2, but they leave 2 on. Karinchak fired up as the Giants hold on to their lead, despite the Orioles making a big run at it, but nonetheless, they might be back in the game, as that brings us into the 7th. Irvin still in for Baltimore. Tommy Rogers ropes this one into left for a hit. Cool to see Tommy Rogers playing well in the house that Louis St. John built. His numbers against lefties and righties haven't been all that different this year, but I do feel like he is a lot more comfortable against left-handed pitching. Jun-Hoo Lee hits the ball hard, but it's a double play. Mayo at the right place at the right time does make a nice scoop there. And we'll go bottom 7 with Karinchak staying in the game as he strikes out Heston Kjerstad on the 95-mile-an-hour fastball to get things started. That'll bring us to the number 7 hitter, Colton Cowser, for a top 5 pick. The 2-2, swinging a miss on the fastball. 3 strikeouts early for Karinchak. We'll see if he can get one more. Michael Reed hits it well over to second. 1-0-2 off the bat, but Jonathan India will make the play this time, and Karinchak gets through the inning pretty easily as it remains 4-2, and that will bring us into the 8th. Jorge Soler will get things started here for the Giants with 1 away. Another guy who, as we know, really is good against left-handed pitching. Hits this ball hard, 100 into the right center gap. That one's going to make its way to the wall, and it'll go for a 1-out double. Soler's been really consistent throughout the year. He's been consistently solid. Nothing spectacular. OPS in the mid-700s, hitting for good power, hitting well with runners on base. You know what you're going to get out of him. Jonathan India with 2 away on the runner at third, pops it up into the shallow infield. And the all-star, Gunnar Henderson, is under to come down with it. Certainly a doable deficit here for Baltimore. Again, curious to see who the Giants trot out here in the 8th inning as they try to find their back-end relievers going into the postseason. And once again, it will be A.J. Minter, the lefty, who comes out of the pen. Sure, he's been a little bit inconsistent this year, but he's a guy with experience. He knows how to perform well in the big moments. Obviously, a big piece of Atlanta's bullpen during their 2021 World Series run. We'll see if he can get out of the inning here, and he's looking pretty solid so far. 1 away against Jordan Westburg, go for 3 in this one, and he goes down looking on the circle change. Low pitch, barely inside the zone. Great pitch from Minter. We'll see if he can retire this side against Jackson Holliday. Looking to get him up and in, and he does with the fastball. 1-2-3 inning for Minter. The Giants lead by 2 as we go into the 9th inning. The Orioles are going to go back to their bullpen now. Into the game for them will be Dylan Tate, the righty. If you've been around the channel, you know that Dylan Tate's a guy who I really like in this game. I feel like he's good in MLB The Show Sim. I've gotten him in numerous series in the past. He's been pretty solid this year in 82 innings with an ERA just under 4. With 2 away, he faces off against Tommy Rogers, who puts this ball on the ground. Tate knows he's got to throw him out quickly, and he does to retire this side. As that brings us into the bottom of the ninth. Once again, it is closing time for Camilo Doval, looking for save number 37 on the year. His ERA has gone down to 1.05. We'll see if he can get through the inning pretty quickly, but he's got to face off against the middle of the order. That starts with Adley Rutschman. Goes down on the cutter. 1-1 here for Christian Walker with 2 away and the game on the line. Grounded to short. Crawford makes the play. Throw to first is in time. And the Giants add to their win streak, make it 6 in a row as they defeat the Baltimore Orioles by the final score of 4-2. Certainly not a crazy good game by the offense. We got some runs early, but for the most part, we were pretty quiet in this game at the plate. The story was the pitching. Kyle Harrison, for the most part, was fantastic, looking dominant through 5 innings, only letting up 1 base runner before the game got away from him in the 6th, but then the bullpen came in, shut the door outside of the 6th inning. The pitching today was nearly perfect. Even though the offense didn't do anything crazy, we didn't need them to because we let up, I think, 1 base runner outside of the 6th. Baltimore's offense just could not get anything going through those other 8 innings. They went on their nice little run, but it was not enough. Their pitching was decent. Kyle Bradish wasn't great, but the bullpen did a really good job. Cole Irvin with 4 scoreless. ERA goes down to 2.05. He was phenomenal, trying to keep him in the game, but the offense just did not give them enough. So with that, we are now 79-50. We've won 6 in a row. The Padres have won 8 in a row. They're not letting us add to this lead. We're going to get through our next 6, wrapping up the series in Baltimore, and then a quick turnaround flying cross-country, returning home to face off against the 47-81 Washington Nationals. So we're going to hop into this second game here against the Orioles, looking to add to the win streak. We're up 2-1 going into the bottom of the 8th inning. But look at this. The Orioles have 2 runners in the corners, 1 away. Kobe Mayo is up, and they're going to go for the suicide squeeze. Both runners are going. Kobe Mayo is out at first, but still a successful play for the Orioles. Fired up in the dugout as small ball works to perfection, and this game is tied at 2. 2 away. Huge opportunity here for Christian Walker, and I think we're going to ultimately intentionally walk him. I'd rather get the lefty-on-lefty matchup with Cabrera and Colton Cowser, and it looks like that proves to be a good decision. He flies this one into right. Jun-Hoo Lee makes the play. That inning could have gone a lot worse. The Orioles were able to get 1 and tie the game, but they weren't able to take the lead. Let's go bottom 10. So we got an RBI double in the top half of the inning from Elliot Ramos, and now we need Camilo Doval, our closer, to come save us. So obviously the Orioles start with the runner on second. All it would take is 1 base hit for them to tie the game with some of their best offensive players due up. The 2, 3, 4 spots in the lineup. Jackson Holiday flies it into shallow center. Kyler getting the start here in center today. He's not as fast as Tommy, but I do think he does have the range to play center. It's just that the rest of his defense, similarly to Tommy, really isn't all that good. But he does make the play for the first out of the inning with no trouble. Adley Rutschman now 2 for 4 in this one. Sends this one back into center. Rodriguez under it, and once again makes the play with no problem. And the Orioles are down to their final out. They need a big play here from arguably their best player. It's Gunnar Henderson. He's been quiet today, 0 for 2, down to the final strike. Here's Doval. This one is lined into left. Ramos is under it. He will make the play, and the Giants have won, count them up, 7 in a row. They beat Baltimore by the final score of 3-2 in 10 with the RBI double from Elliot Ramos, followed by a great inning from Camilo Doval, getting his 38th save of the year. His ERA now below 1. He has been truly remarkable this season, even with the runner on second. It was a challenging save for him, facing off against 3 really good hitters with Holiday, Rutschman, and Henderson, but he's able to get the job done. Not a great day offensively, but we didn't need it. Robbie Ray was really good. Bullpen made it a little bit close down the stretch, but another great game from our pitching, who continues to lead the way for our team. Grayson Rodriguez pitched a good game. Their bullpen was honestly not bad either. The only run that we got was unearned since it was in the 10th. And now let's see if we can get the sweep. We're up 6-0. Tommy Rogers has a 10-game hitting streak on the line. He's 0 for 1 in this one with 2 walks as he faces off against Cole Irvin. And this one is on the ground. Could be 2, and it is. Rogers would not get another opportunity to hit, ending his hit streak, but a different streak goes on. Another victory for the San Francisco Giants. That's 8 in a row. One of, if not the longest win streaks of the series. And remember, we had, what, the 5-6 game losing streak at the start of the episode. A quick turnaround here in the month of August. Another phenomenal start from Logan Webb, who arguably has been the best pitcher in the league since the All-Star game. Again, he was pissed that he didn't make the All-Star team, and he's continuing to show it. Sabol goes 2 for 4, 3 RBIs, 2 runs, and then Zach DeZenzo. He had a pretty good game, 2 for 3 with a walk, drives in 2. Logan Webb, 9 innings, allowing just 3 hits, 1 walk, and no runs. Logan Webb has been absolutely brilliant. And even with how good Savale and Harrison have been, I still feel like Logan Webb is the ace of the staff. We are 81-50 now. That passes our win total from last year, and we do it with well over a month to go. We'll see how we perform in this 4-game set against the Nationals, and overall, things went pretty well. The win streak, unfortunately, dies at 8 as we lose this first game 6-1. Not a very good start from Aaron Savale. We don't get to say that every day, but he did not pitch well. Tommy Rogers did homer in this game. He also homered in the next game as well. We ended up winning 6-0 with a complete game shutout from Mason Miller. Even guys like Miller and Ray, who are arguably the weak links in our rotation, continue to produce. If those are our 2 worst starters, then our rotation certainly is in a good spot. We are now 84-51. Logan Webb is the favorite for the Cy Young, and he deserves it with how good he has been over the last month and a half. 3.5 WAR. Doubled his total from last year, higher than his total from season 1. He has been a man on a mission, and we're finally building a lead in the division. 3.5 games ahead of the Padres, now 7 ahead of the Dodgers. So we only made up half a game on San Diego today, but again, our schedule is a whole lot easier than theirs during the final month of this season, which we'll be covering here over the next 2 episodes as we look to cement ourselves in the playoffs and hopefully clinch the division for good. Hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.